You're not my real daughter anyway. Why should I pretend to care? Those words didn't come from a stranger. They came from the woman I called mother. The same woman who had convinced my father, our neighbors, and even me, that she was the miracle our broken family had been waiting for. But that night, her mask slipped. And what I discovered after would change everything. Because the truth is, my father and I were living inside a deadly plan. Sarah arrived like a fairy tale come true. Beautiful, elegant, successful. Yet she chose my father, a widower with a grieving teenage daughter. At first, I didn't trust her. What could a glamorous woman like Sarah want with us? But slowly, she broke down my walls. She brought me coffee the way I liked it, helped me with school, cheered at my plays and cried at my graduation. For the first time since my mom's death, I felt like I had a family again. But was it really love? Or part of a perfect plan? 18 months later, my father married Sarah. The wedding was a dream. She gave a tearful speech. Emma isn't just gaining a stepmother, she's gaining the mom she deserves. For 6 months, life was bliss. Sarah cared for my mom's garden. She blended into our family so seamlessly that I began to call her mom. It felt like our broken family was whole again. But perfection never lasts. And the cracks were about to show. Suddenly, Sarah changed. Late nights at work. Irritation at my presence. Ask your father, Emma. I'm busy. She stopped asking about my day. Stopped caring. And her eyes on my father weren't loving anymore. They were calculating. Cold. Like she was studying him, not as a husband, but as a target. And then strange bottles appeared in our home. That's when I knew something was very, very wrong. One morning, sick with the flu, I stayed home. From her office, I heard Sarah whispering on the phone. Curious, I leaned closer. The inheritance will be huge once the old man trusts me completely. My blood ran cold. No, the girl isn't a problem. She's desperate for a mother. She believes everything. And then, the medicine is working, but too slowly. Maybe it's time to increase the dosage. That's when I realized Sarah wasn't just cold. She was killing my father. And worse, I was next. I needed proof. Her office was always locked, but I knew the code. My mother's birthday. The irony nearly made me sick. Inside, at first, everything looked normal. Real estate files. Contracts. Neat folders. But behind them, I found reports. Medical notes in Sarah's handwriting. Tracking every symptom my father had: fatigue, nausea, confusion. And one word: arsenic trioxide. She wasn't caring for him. She was documenting his death. Then, another folder: previous projects. Photos of men. Widowers. All dead. Death certificates. And in every picture, the wife was the same. Different names. Different hair. But always her eyes. Always Sarah. She wasn't just a manipulator. She was a serial predator. And buried in those papers was a detailed plan for me. An accidental death. Car crash. Drowning. She had already chosen how I would die. My hands shook as I photographed everything. I knew if she caught me, it was over. I put everything back, locked the office, and realized I was the first person to ever uncover Sarah's truth and still be alive. But how could I tell my father? How could I convince him his perfect wife was slowly murdering him? Every meal might be his last. Every smile of hers could be the final act. I had only two choices: stay silent and wait for death, or act. But if she suspected me, I'd be the next body in her folder. The next morning, Sarah poured coffee for us. Her smile warm, her voice sweet. But I stared at the cup and wondered, is this poison? I pushed it away. I'm not hungry. Inside, I was trembling. I waited until she left for another meeting. Then I grabbed my phone and dialed. My stepmother is poisoning my father, I whispered. At first, the officer sounded skeptical, until I listed the names of her other victims. Then silence. Stay where you are. I'm transferring you to major crimes. A detective needs to hear this. That's when I knew. This was bigger than I could ever imagine. And from now on, I'd have to live a double life, pretending not to know. While death sat across the dinner table. Detective Maria Rodriguez. Sharp eyes. Calm voice. She studied the photos on my phone and said, "Emma, this isn't just fraud. This is one of the most dangerous killers I've ever seen." My chest tightened. But before I could speak, she added, "If she suspects you know, you and your father won't survive the month." The instructions were clear. Go home. Act normal. And wait. Every night, I smiled across the table at Sarah, pretending she hadn't planned to bury me. A week later, Detective Rodriguez called me back. "We have evidence, but not enough. We need her to confess." My heart nearly stopped. Confess? How? The detective slid a tiny device across the table. A wire. "You'll wear this. You'll confront her. And we'll be listening. But be careful, if she realizes, she might kill you on the spot." I left the station feeling like a walking time bomb. That night, when my father left for work, I was alone with Sarah. "Sarah, we need to talk." My voice cracked. But inside, I knew. This conversation could decide who lived and who died. Sarah set her purse down, smiling sweetly. "Of course, darling. What's wrong?" I met her eyes. "I know. About Robert. About David. About James. I know you're poisoning my father. And I know I'm next." For a long moment, silence. Then her smile vanished. Her eyes hardened. And she laughed. 7 men, Emma. 7. Your father will be number 8. And you? Just a tragic accident. She stepped closer, voice sharp as a knife. You think love saved you? No. Love is my weapon. It blinds men, blinds girls like you. That's why I always win. But she didn't know. Every word was being recorded. From her purse, she pulled a small vial of white powder. 1 dose, and no one will question it. Food poisoning. Allergic reaction. Quick. Painless. I backed away. You won't get away this time. They know everything. She sneered. No one will believe you. I always win. And then, the sound of boots, doors crashing, voices shouting. Sarah Chen, you are under arrest for murder and attempted murder. Her face twisted in shock. She lunged for the back door. But officers were already there. In seconds, the predator was in chains. As they dragged her out, she spat at me. You destroyed me, Emma. But this isn't over. For the first time, I let myself breathe. The nightmare was over. Or so I thought. My father spent weeks in the hospital, recovering from the poison. Doctors said he was lucky to be alive. I wasn't so sure. Because the truth was, Sarah had stolen more than his health. She had stolen every illusion of love we thought we had. The news called her the Black Widow of Denver. No remorse. No shame. Just a predator who turned love into a weapon. And I ask myself even now, how many families live beside someone like her, without ever realizing the danger? But here's what I've learned. Real love protects. Real love fights back. And that's what saved us. So if I can leave you with one message, it's this. Sometimes the brightest smiles hide the deadliest secrets. Trust your instincts. Because they may be the only thing standing between life and death.